Welcome to the Underdog Talk, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, the most underrated podcast on earth, according to Generation Iron. And there is something about the underdog. But I mean, ladies and gentlemen, fuck the underdog. We have an absolute beast on the Underdog Talk. A one, two, three, four, five, six, 7-time IFBB pro. One of the best 212 bodybuilders of all time. A man nicknamed Quadro. I mean, you guys see him, the one and only Guy Cisternino. What is up, big fella? How you doing
What's
today,
up,
man?
man? Good. Well, question. Somebody really said your podcast is underrated.
Yes, actually, we have. I mean,
Well, here I'll just say this real quick, and we don't have to get into who said it. But I've never done this podcast, but this is probably one of the podcasts that I've heard spoken about
well,
multiple times from people that I know in the industry. So I knew this podcast before you even asked me to be on it, due to the fact that so many people I know have been on it. So if that says anything to you, I don't care what any other news fucking channel says.
you know, a tip of the hat to you, sir, because what you have done has kind of inspired me to be here. So another fucking tip of the hat back to you. Now,
Not me. I got to hear this one.
I want to be like you. Now, I've got to ask this. If I take uprising extracts, can I be as big as you? Is this something I take and I'm as big as Guy? Is this like, what is the truth? What is Kratom, Guy? I have to
So
fucking
so so kratom. So kratom is so the tree that or the plant that it comes from is um so it's Metrogynous speciosa is the name of the tree, and um kratom is the same thing. So that's the real name for the tree that it's come from. So metragenine is the alkaloid that is extracted from the plant. It's a green coffee leaf extract. Okay, found in Indonesia, and our manufacturers actually go to Indonesia and source it themselves. So the way I got into kratom was simply I was literally at Dallas, destination Dallas. I was working out, and a kid from Houston drove to Dallas because he knew I was there, and he was a huge fan of mine. This kid by the name of Mark Matthews, and he goes, "Hey man, I brought you some kratom. I want you to try it." And I go, "Dude, I have no idea what you're talking about." He goes, "It's this supplement," and he explained to me what it was. And he goes, "I just want you to try it." He goes, and I was like, "Okay." I'm like, "Do I take it now?" He's like, "No, take it after you're done when you work out." And I was like, "All right." So he came back. Him and his girlfriend came back. We chilled in my hotel for a little bit. I took I took a shot of it because it comes in like little shots, like 500 energy shots. And within 15, 20 minutes, it kicked in. And I didn't even realize it kicked in because I was having, my back was killing me. And I remember standing up to go to the bathroom, and I walked back and I sat down, and he goes, "Hey, how do you feel?" And I go, "Holy shit, bro." I said, "My back doesn't even fucking hurt me anymore." And so then I did start doing research on it, and it helps. It's like a nootropic mixed with a pain reliever, mixed with an energy and focus, mixed with a I don't even want to call it relaxation, but it really is, because based on your body and the timing and your receptors. So if you take it in the morning when you're just getting your day started, it will give you like zoned in focus and almost like a feeling of like a euphoric, like Adderall-ish feeling, like to just to get everything done. But in the same token, you could take it at night when you're tired and getting ready for bed, and it will like melt you into your couch and just like mellow you out. And the reason why I started taking it was because of the pain relieving side effects, because I have 3 herniated discs. I've had 2 shoulder surgeries on my right shoulder. I have 1 shoulder surgery on my left shoulder, epidurals, stem cells all over my body. So I'm banged up. And this was something that really started to help my career because it was enabling me to work out the way that I wanted to work out and the way that people know me to work out. Because the older I got, my joints started taking a fucking beating. And this stuff just, it worked that well. People are like, why kratom? And I say, well, if you think about this, everybody, I'm 40 years old. I've been bodybuilding since I was 21. I turned pro at 26. So I've been well known since I was in my late 20s. I've never backed something and started my own brand and invested the amount of money that I did into something the way I did this, because I never believed in something as I do in this ingredient because of what it's done for me. But and I don't want to ramble, but like anything else, you Google it, and the first thing you see when you Google something is negative. Yeah, everybody sees the negative first. And Kratom sold in smoke shops all over the U.S. It's sold every state besides I think 5 or 6 states it's banned in. You can find it in Jersey at 7-Elevens, at gas stations. It's fucking all over the place. But there's a problem because when you go to those type of places, a smoke shop, right? Everybody goes there to get their fix, their nicotine fix, their fucking Delta 8 fix, their THC fix, their vape fix. Yeah, people go there, or they're going there to chase a feeling, chase a nicotine high, chase a THC high, chase a Delta gummy high, or nobody's really going there because they want to get something because it benefits them in the fitness industry, right? So the Kratom, we're introducing it into the fitness industry, and we're doing it with educational purposes because this isn't we don't want people to take this because we want them to feel a certain way. I want them to get the benefits from the side effects of the Kratom, meaning the pain relieving side effect, the euphoric side effect, the energy, the focus, the relaxation. I want that. That's the benefits that I found from it when you take an efficacious dosage that allows you to feel that way. But like anything else, people abuse it, and it's not. There's no physical dependency on Kratom. Myself and Mark Matthews, we work with a company that works directly with the AKA, which is the American Kratom Association, and they're a lobbyist for the Kratom. So there's actually zero physical dependencies on Kratom. But like anything else, you can get addicted because people have brains and people like more is better and people like to over and abuse things. And like anything else, if you abuse it, it could have certain effects to you. But I tested it myself. I took it for a month straight, came off it. I had no problem taking shit. I had no problem going to bed. I had no problem with digestion. I had no feeling of want, but I also don't have an addictive personality. So I just tell everybody, if you have an addictive personality or you've been down that road, probably something you should either maybe stay away from or tread lightly because it's not something you should take every day. You take it on an as needed basis. And I got 2 emails today. Somebody said it saved their fucking relationship because it cured his anxiety and he was able to talk to his girlfriend again. So, not to make this all about that, but yeah, it's not as, I wish it was a lot simpler defined rather than the rambling that I just gave you. But in order for people to actually understand what it is, it's that kind of spiel is necessary, or you kind of just sound like an ignorant asshole, right?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, if you want something that is backed by not an ignorant asshole, I mean, come on, you guys got to check out Uprising Extracts.
I appreciate it.
Besides being a successful entrepreneur and I guess a gummy chef, I don't even fucking know what to call it. You were actually a decent bodybuilder as well.
Yeah.
And when I say decent, I mean excellent. And it kind of all started at a young age in terms of that love for fitness. Your father being a very well-rounded athlete, as you talk about how he was a big influence. Football was really your first love.
Yeah.
And you then found the gym guy, and then the rest, as they say, was fucking history. So what was so intriguing to you about bodybuilding and going into the gym and lifting that iron guy?
That I didn't have to deal with a coach or a team, meaning I didn't have a coach breathing down my neck, screaming and yelling at me. I didn't have teammates that I had to rely on or fall back on or that relied on me. It was me and me only. And if I failed by myself. And if I won by myself. And, obviously we talk about camps and having, nutritionists and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's something that, I listen at the, people talk about, I didn't have a tough upbringing where listen, my parents were lower middle class. We didn't have a lot of money, but we weren't poor. But I was a short kid. I was pudgy. I got bullied. I got picked on pretty heavily from the time I was in, I would say kindergarten, first grade through till I was about, I went to a Catholic high school freshman year. Didn't know not one single person in the entire high school. Everybody else had their little cliques. I was just like Italian, short, like Guinea from Jersey. And I was a good athlete, but nobody really knew who I was and they didn't really give a fuck. And I was there, and I actually left that school because of just the simple fact that I literally had no friends. It just I was like just an outcast, and I'm not one for getting picked on and keeping my mouth shut. So I went back to my public school, which was West Milford, and then obviously I knew a lot of people there, and then ended up I was playing football. I was playing football in Pope John. But they ended up, putting me at quarterback, and at 5'5", you can't really be a quarterback. You suck. So I was a backup quarterback my freshman year there. Then I went back to my public school, which was West Milford, and I started, my career in football there as a sophomore, and then ended up doing phenomenal. I got recruited to play football in college. Had a phenomenal 3 years at West Milford. And it was football there was some of the best years. If I could go back, I would give up everything I had to go back to playing high school football. That's how much fun that was for me, and that's how much love I have for that and those guys that I played with. I would give up every single thing that I have, every dime that I have, to go back to high school football if I could do it all over again. But yeah, so that kind of that transpired into playing college football. I got recruited to play for Western Connecticut State University, and then they moved me to I got recruited for running backs. I played running back and middle linebacker my whole entire bodybuilding career, my whole entire football career. And then they ended up moving me to safety or cornerback, which I never played in my entire life. My entire career of playing football, my two steps as a running back were line of scrimmage, and my first two steps as a middle linebacker were stutter steps towards the line of scrimmage, unless it was like a flat pass from like a tight end, or it was just a standard pass play, and you just stayed in your zone. But I had to learn how to backpedal and do all that shit in college, and say at least I really wasn't that great. But what I ended up doing when I was in college was I found passion. I always had passion for the weight room, and I was the only guy in the weight room after practices. Like, I'd be in the weight room by myself working out like a bodybuilder. And then it got to the point where, I always knew I wanted to bodybuild. I always knew that I had a passion for it, but I played football for so long. It was kind of like instilled in me that I had this career that I had to follow through with, which was like, playing football and be, my family, nobody ever played college sports. And I was the first guy to ever finish college. So to finish those years of football was like a big fucking thing. And, my dad was super proud that I was his son playing college football. And I wasn't great in college at football by any means, but, I just, one thing that I was passionate for was that I couldn't be the fastest guy in the field, but I could fucking be the strongest motherfucker that anybody's ever hit. And that was always what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be somebody that either somebody hit and they went, fuck, I don't want to hit that guy again. Or somebody that I hit and somebody's like, I do not want to run into that fucking kid again. So that's kind of how I built my foundation, was off of, training for football. And then once football was over, I was like, chips are all in,
That's when you find who you really are. And it's funny to me, we had Branch Warren on the podcast, and Branch goes, why I love bodybuilding is because it comes down to me. It becomes down to how bad do I fucking want it. And now, something that stood out to me about you guys, you really fucking wanted it, and I've got to ask, is this story true? I mean, your first ever show in 2003, you were gonna compete on your first show. 7 days before the show,
9
where
got canceled.
Okay, it said all right, fuck. 9 days before, you received an email saying it was canceled. Then you started searching for another competition. That's
Google
correct as well. Okay.
Yep.
You then managed to find a show in West Virginia.
Yep.
That's also correct.
Correct.
You then paid $1,300.
$1,300. Yep.
To fix up your Bronco with your cousin.
Yep. Bronco 2.
And then you drove 9 fucking hours,
West Virginia,
to compete in your first ever bodybuilding show. I mean,
yeah.
If that doesn't sound like a movie plot, ladies and gentlemen, I don't fucking know what it is.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was wild. It was what I had to drive home with the trophy. I actually threw the trophy out because it was just ridiculous. I actually had to drive home. So the back of the Bronco 2 had one of the windows that were like came up. So I had to keep the window. I had to open the window and then actually tie it down because the trophy was 6 feet long, actually stuck out in the back of the fucking Bronco. So we had to drive home with it with the back of the window where the handle was bungee corded down because the window was up the whole time.
And you're humble, Guy. You didn't even add that you won. And not only did you won, you kind of swept the whole competition out there. Your first show was a win.
Yeah, I won. It was a NABA show because back then I didn't know anything about. I didn't know there was divisions. I didn't know NPC. I was new clueless. I won. So NABA has short, medium, and tall class. So I won the medium novice and novice overall. I won the medium open, and I actually lost the open overall to current IFBB pro Fred Smalls.
Wow,
Yeah.
Fred was in that show too.
Yeah, he was in that. He was the first fucking guy that I saw as a bodybuilder, and I was like, this dude is fucking huge. He's huge. Fred was huge back then. Huge.
And I mean, it's almost like a forewarning of two of the best 212ers to ever step on our stage. Now, the $1 million question to you guys is, why 212? Why did you pick 212 and not decide to be in the open and compete with obviously Jose and Flex and kind of really have a trinity of just legends competing there? But why not go open? Why stay at that 212?
Honestly, the guys that I looked up to coming up were guys like Danny Padilla, guys like Franco Colombo, guys like Dexter, guys like Lee Priest. And then you had guys like Caprice Murray come on the scene. You know, Kevin Levrone was one of my favorite. But what I'm saying is yeah, there was only open back then, but those were kind of smaller stature guys. And I felt that for what I was and who I am and what I believe, I felt that there was some. Listen, some people say this and it's bullshit, and I'll be honest with you. And some people saying it's the truth. Any one of my friends will tell you, and they know for a fact that I have my journals to prove everything I've ever taken. I never pushed my limits the way I should have if I wanted to be better. Just because I was very conscious of the decision I was making to take PEDs, and I knew the damage that I was doing, no matter how safe I did it. And there was just some roads that I was not willing to go down. Like some people were saying, I'm willing to die for this. I wasn't. That's the truth. Maybe that's why I wasn't one of the best, but I wanted my 2 feet on this ground as long as I could. And granted, you know, I definitely shaved years off my life doing what I did. And I made peace with that a long time ago. And anybody that knows me knows I've spoken about that in detail, especially when Sean passed away. Now, am I proud of that? No. Am I sad? No. Because honestly, if I die tomorrow, man, at 40 years old, there ain't a lot of motherfuckers that were able to live the life that I lived. I traveled the entire world almost. I've been to so many countries. I've met so many people. You know, people still ask for my autograph, and I still don't understand why. Because to me, I'm just a guy that likes to fucking work out. I'm a nobody. You know, I'm living a life of just working out and enjoy lifting. And you know, I get to travel the world and shake hands with people, and you know, talk to people and train at different gyms, and you know, make a living and not have to work a 9 to 5. And you know, through the fruits of my labor, because people think, you know, just being a pro bodybuilder, you're going to make money. Like, no, like I busted my fucking ass and with companies and sponsors and, you know, doing the right thing because yeah, good bodybuilder. Yes. Great bodybuilder. No. I think through my hard work and the way I present myself and the way I speak, I think that's what made me who I am in bodybuilding, what made me popular. Not so much what I did on stage, but more so what I did off stage. And, you know, bodybuilding gave me a platform to live on that I never thought I would be in the position I am. People asking me to get interviews or taking pictures or autographs of me, and you know, I'm blessed every day to be able to do it. And the fact that I'm able to do it at the level that I did it at, taking what I took, I'm very pleased with what I did because there were limits that I could have pushed that I could have been better, but I know it would have been way more detrimental to me. And that's what I tell people. You have to make sure that you're okay and you really have an honest heart to heart with yourself, because going down that path is, you know, when you're going down it, it seems like it's no big deal because you don't get big or fucking die. Yeah. or fucking like I'm gonna win this show if it kills me, until it actually starts to happen around you. Then it start then the or you say when you're 25, if I make it to I'm 65, I'm fine. Yeah, until you reach 40 and you realize that 65 is only 20 years away, and it's a little 20 25 years away. It's a little more real when you get close to it, and then you start thinking you want those fucking years back, right? So that's kind of why I never went to open, was because my weight limit was normally 207. I never everybody all these 212 guys say they had to suffer to make weight. I can tell you this: 99% of them, not one motherfucker had to suffer, because we all weighed in at night at 7 o'clock at the Olympia at the same fucking time, and nobody was really near 211, 212 besides Flex and sometimes Jose, but barely Jose.
Oh, and I'm going to change what you said about a good bodybuilder. You were a superstar, because we don't often realize how much of an importance it is off stage as well. That's what makes people. It's not just their performance on stage; it's their performance being a advocate of the sport. So, sir, do not say you were good. You were a great bodybuilder, and we as spectators in the world are so much better with you competing in that 212 division and really just pushing everyone in that class to be better. So, thank you, sir, for
I
being
appreciate that.
an outstanding, leader and example for us up and comers in the bodybuilding industry, to know what we should be like, not just on stage but off stage.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you had battles with Flex and Jose, and now we're kind of seeing battles start going back in that 212. Do you think the 212 division has changed in any way since you guys were competing, Guy?
Yeah, I don't see like the camaraderie like I used to. And maybe, listen, the ignorance could be on me because I'm not there, I'm not backstage. But I mean, people knew back in the day that me and Flex and David Henry were boys, and me and Jose were close buddies, and like there was pictures of us like hanging out together, and like I don't see that anymore. And maybe that's, I mean, if you see it and I don't, maybe you can tell me I'm missing something. But for the eyes that I have, that I've had LASIK surgery on, that fit my head pretty well, I don't see it. And I think that's the biggest thing, was that, I battled with the same guys I fucking trained with sometimes. I actually battled with the same guys that I went out to eat with after the shows, and that, were at my parents' house eating dinner, or that I was breaking bread with their family, or, it's so I don't know that exists anymore. Like I actually, when Sean Clarita he had a big event at Signature Gym, which is in Jersey, he was having a little meet and greet. Like I went there to see fucking Sean. Like he's my boy. Like I want to support him. Like, I just don't see that kind of stuff happening anymore. So I think the biggest disconnect, I think people need to understand that, yeah, you're bodybuilding and you're trying to beat somebody, but like, man, you guys gotta be friends with the motherfuckers that you're trying to take out too, because it makes it a lot more fun. And I was traveling the world with, I mean, there's me and Jose Raymond right here in India. There's me and Milos in Vegas, me and Fuad in Dallas. This is Camp Lejeune right here with me, Jay Cutler in Dubai. I got there's me and Dexter's right above here. I mean, I got me and John Meadows right behind me. Me and Kai Green in Dubai right here. Me and Flex Lewis laying backstage at the Olympia right here. So I keep forgetting that everything's reversed. So what I have in my podcast room with all my friends backstage and laying, that I don't see that anymore. That's what's different to me.
And I think you're right to a very strong degree. Obviously, you were on the stage, but from a spectator's view, I love seeing Kevin and all those guys just battle it out. They seem to just love to be there with each other, love to be on that stage, whether it be pushing each other. But you just saw such a different sense of bodybuilding in terms of, I guess, the camaraderie, like you mentioned. So I don't think you're wrong, and I'm not saying it's a knock on the sport. I don't think it's good or bad. I think it is good in the way that it is more than just a sport. We're human beings at the end of the day, and that's what it is, And I think that was I would love to see that, because I think it would really bring more people to the sport, seeing these guys have fun instead of being so serious. Not that they shouldn't be serious. It is the Super Bowl of bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You know, what was it like competing against obviously the great Flex Lewis? I have to ask that question. What was that like?
It was fun, man. I was actually watching. I had videos that I have an old camcorder, like one of those little handheld camcorders,
Mm.
that I have footage of me and Flex and Sean Roden on from Italy in 2015 when we went to Italy and competed. And I said I got a new TV, so I put my old TV downstairs in the basement. I dragged it out of the garage because it had the AC adapter cords, and they're the red, yellow, and white. And I attached it the other night. I was watching with my buddy at like 11 o'clock at night and laughing. And it's funny because Flex, I never beat him, but there's not, back then. I guess some of the guys that I lost to, I think the difference is that some of those guys I didn't mind losing to because who they were. I wouldn't mind losing to a Jose or a Flex Lewis or a David Henry. I wouldn't mind losing to Flex, who's one of the best people I know, or Jose Raymond, who's one of the most established pros in the world, or David Henry, who's Mr. Olympia, who fought for this country. Well, I mean, those guys, if I lost to them, I mean, that's okay. Because those are fucking great motherfuckers to lose to. And I didn't mind that. But, Flex, I mean, Christ, I lost him every time. I'd lose with him and then go out to eat and talk about how I think I should have beat him every time, and just laughed and joked and competing against one of your best friends is something that I can't describe because, and you wouldn't even think we were best friends because backstage, we would be backstage, hanging out, eating, carving up, pump, getting ready for, to start pumping up in a little bit, laughing, joking, telling stories. But the minute it was like 212, pump up, it was like that fucking switch just went on. And it was like, we just kind of both detached from each other. And it was like, I don't know fucking you for the next 30 minutes and you don't know me. It was literally, that's how it was.
I think that's what was so cool about it. You guys could be professional, yet you could also just be your boys.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love that. I fucking love that. Now, I guess $1 million question part two. Do you see bodybuilding going in the right direction, Guy?
What's the right direction is the question.
In terms of popularity, in terms of a wider reach, getting the name out there of the sport of bodybuilding, like the Mr. Olympia. Do you see more people viewing it? Do you see more people getting that attention to the Olympia in terms of the right direction?
I do, and I think we're fortunate enough to have people like Jay Cutler, like a Chris Bumstead, who's a little more mainstream now, and can attract that culture that maybe the main that bodybuilding, the freak bodybuilders wouldn't attract. And I think we have, due to social media, as much as I think social media drives me fucking crazy, I think that the attraction of social media, because a lot of people pretend to be Mr. Olympias on social media, posting all the fucking pictures and selfies of themselves. You would think that they were Mr. Olympia by all the stuff they post. So I think that social media gave us an outlet to express more so who we are. And I don't think that showing off your body is as weird as it once was because of especially social media, how often everybody's showing off selfie pictures, ass on the beach, this, that, third. So I think it's become more understood. And I, back in the day, I always said that bodybuilding never will be mainstream. But honestly, the way it's going, I actually can't see it not going mainstream. With the way the world is going, right, and the way that everybody's talking about, everybody's smoking weed now. Everybody's talking about doing fucking microdosing mushrooms. I mean, when is the use of PEDs? I mean, it already is, but when is the use of PEDs going to be more, I guess, socially, more of a social norm? And I think that, we could say pharma, but pharma's got their hands in fucking, could have their hands in the weed industry if they wanted to, which is when they do. So I think there's only a matter of time where, some sort of PEDs become, legalized, which they kind of already are, in a way, because you can get them from doctors, at least in the States. But I think bodybuilding does have a chance to become mainstream if they do the things the right way. It's a little weird to have guys up on a stage flexing in fucking grape smugglers and chicks showing off their asses, but I think if you actually start putting a story behind the athletes the way they do, with other things on TV, I think you can actually make it mainstream. The reason why wrestling is so big is because wrestlers have a story behind them, right? If you can get behind somebody because they have a story and you have an emotional connection to them, you kind of forget the flaws or the negatives sometimes, and you grow an attachment to that one person. So yeah, I think there is a chance for it to become mainstream if done the right way.
100%. And I think, Generation Iron has taken it to another level, obviously. And we had director Vlad Yudin on the show, and he really just talked about how it was so important to see the background. And I was able to kind of I just talked to Rolly. He was on the podcast, and
one of my very good buddies. I love
we
that
were,
kid.
yeah, phenomenal career, phenomenal bodybuilder, and we were laughing about Grandma, because on the show you see how Grandma was whipping him into shape. You could see that, Branch Warren's injury. You could see Rolly going through those ups and downs. You could see that they were more than just juiced up freaks, and that really kind of got me into bodybuilding. And I know that that's really pushing a lot of younger crowds into bodybuilding. And obviously, when you have people like Quadro just out there motivating people, being truly one of the faces of bodybuilding, I mean, that is what the sport needs now. Finally, what were your thoughts on this year's Mr. Olympia? Did you see everything, correct placing, or were there anything that you didn't see competitors being in the right place, Guy?
Nah, man. I think honestly, the only thing I could have changed is, and I said it, and Nick was a wow factor for me. So Derek was too, but Nick was the wow for me. People say, "Oh, you say that because you and Nick are like best friends." I'm like, yes and no, because I think I'm pretty good at being fucking unbiased when it comes to bodybuilders. Like, I tell everybody, I don't care if they're your friend or not, take their heads and cut them off and judge their bodies. That's what you judge. You're not judging personality. You're not judging, listen, I got some of my buddies I used to compete against. They used to give me shit for fucking speaking the truth. But, I consider being the first one to say, my arms were shit. But, I could also be the first one to say, Flex always needed a bigger chest and didn't have good peaks on his biceps. It's okay. Like, it's okay. We're not perfect. Like, that shit's okay to say. But I feel like Nick could have been arguably first. And I honestly think the top three, you could have flip flopped and first, second, or third between Hottie, Derek, and Nick. And I don't think anybody would have fucking barked and said a word, to be honest with you.
No, and all three first place, all three competitors just seem phenomenal.
Yes.
Just for the sport. We had Derek Lunsford on the show, and
Great guy.
Derek just wowed me off air, just wowed me with how humble. And I mean, you wouldn't think this guy was a top tier athlete. And Nick, I mean, what he's doing for the sport and what he's been able to bring in terms of aesthetics and yet mass. And then Hottie just working his ass off every year. I think the sport is in great hands. And we're in great hands with you too, because you are still a voice of the sport. Now, Guy, finally, you've seen it all in the sport. You've worked your ass off. You've given blood, sweat, fucking tears. I don't want to fucking know what else. But what is your biggest tip for someone who is looking to get into that bodybuilding career and then become an IFBB pro like you once were doing, sir?
The best piece of advice I could give somebody. I honestly get the best piece of advice I give somebody is this: is I built a life based around not giving a fuck what anybody thought.
Yeah.
Now, I say that respectfully. I'm not saying don't give a fuck about the law. I'm saying don't respect the law. I'm not saying don't respect your family, your friends. What I am saying is you have to respect the people. You don't have to respect their opinions. And if I respected everybody's opinion and listened to everybody's opinion that came my way, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in. So my point is that everybody can give you their opinion, but if you have, nobody's going to walk in your shoes. Nobody's going to know the battles you've been through mentally, emotionally, physically. And at the end of the day, if there is something that you see fit that you want in your life that is a dream or a goal or aspiration, then who the fuck is anybody to tell you that that is not an attainable goal? Because listen, if I'm not the guy that's missing an arm. I'm not the guy that went overseas. I can't give you inspiration about war, about like, coming back from death but what I can give you is like real life fucking advice about somebody who really shouldn't have been a pro bodybuilder based on his genetics, and who really had to work harder than 99% of people, and who had to outclass and polish people on stage to win, and who's making money from sponsors that there's other bodybuilders with much better genetics and structure that should be making more money than him, but don't, because they just don't do the right things. There's a lot of advice I can give, but the best piece of advice I can give is fuck everybody else's opinion. Do what's best for you in that time, as long as it's not negatively affecting somebody else. And when I say negatively affecting somebody else, I'm not saying you hurt a motherfucker's feelings, because I'm going to tell you this. I've hurt a lot of people's feelings by doing shit my way. And hurting somebody's feelings is not something that I've ever worried about, because at the end of the day, and I'm not saying hurt somebody's feelings where like I'm disrespecting somebody, but if it's between doing something that's right for Guy, or worrying about how this person, or how my mom and dad are going to feel if I make this decision, or I maybe do this instead of that, or move here instead of there, or buy this instead of that, or make this decision over that. You know what? If it's good for me, if this is my life, at 40 years old, I already have one foot on a banana peel and one in a casket, right? My life is already half fucking done. I'm not living by anybody else's fucking sword besides mine. So, and people that on the outskirts looking at the sport don't understand it. And it's a very weird sport to look at and watch and understand. And if you don't understand it, it's weird looking at people trying to get jacked and tan orange and stand on stage and being judged by other people, and, go through all this weird shit, and then, eat crazy food. But you know what? If that fucking makes you happy, then fucking do it. Because the motherfucker that's eating McDonald's sitting on the couch, that's a fat fuck. If he's happy and he's doing that, nobody's fucking saying anything to him and telling him what he should or should be fucking doing. So if that makes him happy, then by all means fucking do it. But if this makes you fucking happy, then fuck everybody else and you fucking do it, and do it your fucking way.
I'm about to run through a fucking wall, Guy. And I posted something on my story yesterday, Underdog Talk, where Terrence Ruffin was on the show, and he goes, follow people's footsteps, and I then said, well, all right, why not follow people's footsteps? That's acceptable, but why not make your own footsteps? And I think that is so fucking key. Do what people said you couldn't do.
Yeah.
I mean, people told Guy he could never be a bodybuilder, one of the best of all times. People told him he couldn't fucking play college football. Played fucking college football and played his fucking heart out and hit fucking people, I'm sure, who are still fucking wondering where they are. I mean, if anyone has said it better than Guy on this podcast, please fucking let me know. I mean, Guy, it has been one of the biggest honors. And
no, man, anytime. I apologize. I'm going to tell everybody that Teddy, I have made appointments with Teddy to do this probably 50 fucking times. I'm surprised the guy hasn't called me out for being a fucking scumbag who doesn't follow through with times, because I've said yes to him a million times and have forgotten probably 1,000,001. So my apologies to you.
Hey, apology accepted. Thank you for coming on. Now, before we go, the floor is yours. Where can we find your content? Where can we find the Mutant in the Mouth? I mean, I know a lot of people are excited to know where we can find that. Any products, any sponsorships? The floor is yours, big fella. Where can we
I
find
appreciate it. So, I mean, my Twitter, my Instagram.
You got Twitter.
Well, yeah, I got Twitter and Instagram. I got TikTok. All Guy Cisternino across the board.
You got TikTok?
Yeah, TikTok. I'm okay on. I don't post as often, but I got a couple million video, like 2 million, 3 million videos that went kind of viral. I don't fucking know. But yeah, so those are my social media platform. My website, guysisternino.com. I got my training programs. I have my apparel there. Uprising Extracts. That's my Kratom company, where you can find all the gummies, the soft gels, the shots there, and then Mutant in the Mouth. So Mutant in the Mouth just started. We just did episode 3 tonight, right before I did your podcast. And we are on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Carmine, iTunes, correct? I got my tech guy across from me, right? iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and we are live as well on YouTube. So that's my YouTube of myself and Nick Walker, and obviously I have my own personal YouTube, Guy Cisternino. So pretty much it's easy to find me.
And then quick question, I guess everyone wants to know, is it
Yeah.
going to be just you and Nick, or are you going to be adding guests to your podcast?
That's actually a great question because we actually literally talked about that tonight. A lot of people were asking us that same question. Like, are you going to be bringing guests on? Is there going to be a third? There's never going to be a solid third. Meaning this podcast was made because me and Nick have a very different relationship, and people notice on the podcast that me and him have like a deeper relationship because we've known each other, right?
Yeah.
And when I get Nick behind a camera, I came to Nick with the idea to do a podcast because it was my idea because Nick isn't and wasn't the best in front of the camera, but certain people could bring certain things out of each other, and I have a way I could bring things out of Nick. Like Nick is just my dude, and I know what gets him gets his gears grinding and gets him going. So when it's just me and him, he talks a lot on the podcast, and that's the side of him that not a lot of people really got to see on Bro Chat because. Thanks obviously for Bro Chat that I'm still on it. It's one of the favorite podcasts that I do. And when we're on there, it's who's screaming at who's saying fuck you, cutting this one off. So you really don't get that intimate conversation because you got four guys having a Bro Chat,
Mm-hmm.
So Nick doesn't have that aggressive personality to be like, yo, motherfuckers, like he'll just sit back and just wait for like a moment to say something. So this gave us a good opportunity to see different sides of each other. But I met Seth Feroci reach out to me, Chris Aceto, Jay Cutler. Like we're eventually going to start bringing guests on. I don't think it's going to be an every week thing, but I foresee us doing like a guest maybe every other week or every 2 weeks. But yeah, I definitely have a very long laundry list of people in my catalog that I can call up for podcasts.
I'm sure you do, but I think everyone, don't put too much competition for me, Guy. But I think I think what everyone likes about it is it's just you two kicking it, no strings attached, no outside. It's you and Nick talking shit, talking sports, talking bodybuilding, just nothing else. And that's what really, when I was listening to it, I was just locked in. I don't listen to any podcasts. So I don't want to get anything. I want to be my own unique podcast. But yours, I was like, I feel like I'm just sitting in the room watching two guys just talk. There's no script. They're talking. I fucking love it. Guys, please go check out The Mutant in the Mouth. One of my new favorite podcasts
I appreciate that, man.
I mean, first person to get Uprising extract products. Please send me a DM. Please send me a screenshot.
I'll send you, if you send me, I'll give you my number when we end this, and I'll send you out a package. But I know Teddy's talking about, listening to my podcast, but listen, I encourage, and I said this on the podcast tonight, I don't encourage you guys just to watch, the Underdog podcast, or I don't encourage you guys just to watch The Mutant in the Mouth. Literally, watch every fucking podcast on bodybuilding and get as much information as you can, whether it's the right information or the wrong information. You guys are not going to really know what information is truly right or truly wrong until you fucking test the waters out, trial and error, and figure out for yourself. But the best way to do that is listen to the knowledge and take whatever knowledge from that you see fit for you and incorporate it into your program however you see it. But the more information you guys could absorb, I don't just subscribe to one channel or this channel, or everybody wants to be the best podcast, but listen to them all, subscribe to them all, fucking support everybody. That's what this shit's about, So that's what I encourage everybody to do.
And also, bodybuilding is just, there is nothing like this fucking community. I've been privileged to talk to some of these legends and bodybuilders, and honestly, ladies and gentlemen, there is no one gentler. I always said this. Branch Warren, when he was on the show, I thought this would be the scariest motherfucker.
No, he was probably like, "What's up, Dad? What's going on?"
Just the coolest, chillest dude. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Half of the pictures on the wall are me and Branch.
You and him have that same hard-working mentality, which I just have to say is fucking impressive.
Teddy, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for me to people that have a mindset of knowing that their heart can stop beating at any second, So let's not give this day or this hour 100%. Because listen, we could have this conversation. I go to bed tonight. I could never wake up tomorrow morning. Like tonight could be my last night. I don't know that. And it's like, why not give every fucking chance you have an opportunity to just do it? Whether it's going grocery shopping or holding the door or fucking going to the gym or doing your set or talking on the phone or just whatever you're doing, just fucking just do it 100%, man. Because that you blink of a fucking eye, we all think it's crazy, but half the wall behind me are some of my best friends, and half the wall behind me, those friends aren't here no more. So we all think it's not fucking reality, but the reality is that as fast as we got it, it can be taken from us. So whatever you're gonna do, I think Snoop Dogg said it. He goes, if you're gonna be a fucking hamburger flipper, be the best motherfucker hamburger flipper in the world. Like that's just the attitude I think people need to have, like in life, not just in bodybuilding.
100%. And I don't know if I think that was actually CT Fletcher, but I'm sure Snoop Dogg.
Was it CT Fletcher?
It was CT because I listened to that Obsession before I went to school.
Was he quoting Snoop Dogg?
Maybe he was. Maybe that could.
Because I swore that was a Snoop. I could be fucking wrong, but I swore. Carmine, look that up.
I just swear in CT Fletcher's Obsession soundtrack, he said that. You can
maybe that's
flipping. You can be the best burger flipping motherfucker, but you gotta something like that. So hey, maybe he copied Snoop.
Am I wrong, Carmine?
This says if it's flipping burgers and hamburgers, be the best hamburger flipper in the world. Whatever it is you do, master your craft.
Who?
It says Snoop Dogg.
Oh! Give me. Give me your phone.
Wow. Ain't that some shit?
If it's flipping hamburgers at McDonald's, be the best hamburger flipper in the world. Whatever it is, you do you. Whatever it is, you do you. Have to master your craft. Snoop Dogg. Yeah, what I say.
Well, fucking shout out Uncle Snoop.
Snoop-a-loop.
You see, your memory is fucking fine. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Quadro. I mean, thank you so much.
Man. Thank you.
Please go check out his stuff. Check out his content. Check out the Mutant in the Mouth. I mean, first person to get one of those. I don't even know why I said it in the wrong way the first time. Go check out Uprising Extracts. I mean, it is a game changer.
Thank you.
And if Guy backs it, I back it, and it is the stuff, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Until next time, guys. Underdog and Quadro out.